so fun. I mean, Evelina will tell you, but we've been like thrifting and sewing, and she'll thrift a dress and we'll like mock it up to her with tailored clothes to her.
So
We're
amazing.
cooking together. She's recording videos with us. We're shopping. We went grocery shopping for my boyfriend's house
Mhm.
together, and we're like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. Like shopping with girls is the best. How have you been? It's been so long since I've seen you on here.
I know. Yeah, I've been okay. I feel like I'm in a good place right now, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good today right now.
What's today? How's today different than previous days?
Um, I don't know. Um, I don't know. Just redirecting my my thoughts and just allowing myself to really ask deep questions and just understand myself better. I feel like,
Mm.
and even this topic today, I feel like it's really on point to just like things I've been dealing with internally. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Wow, I love that. I'm going to be so excited to hear what the girls have to say. So, I believe Kaylin and Evelina are collaborating on this topic because we've been talking about it all week. Look at them both grinning so big.
All right, I'm actually really nervous, but we got this.
Good. I'm glad you're nervous. That's what the point's all about. So,
Oh, got it. Okay, perfect. Let's
Michael, good to see you.
do this.
Hello, how is everybody doing?
So
Very
good.
good. Wait,
So good.
wait.
We're live and recording. Girls, are you guys ready? We can kick
We
you guys
need.
off.
I think this is.
All
Yeah,
right,
just give me a second.
I'll kick you off. I'm gonna mute you for a second while y'all are figuring it out. Michael, you wanna intro us?
Yes, I will. All right, hope everybody's doing well. Um, I believe tonight we have special guests. We're going to learn about the feminine, the mothering yourself. So I'm excited um, for that. So thanks for hopping on, everybody. Um, we're a group of young people who are about growth and like-minded in that sense, young and wanting to grow and learn. And so today we're learning about mothering yourself. Last 2 weeks ago, we learned about fathering yourself. And so today will be about mothering yourself. So I'm really excited to hear what is going to be said.
Okay, okay. Are you guys ready? We're gonna dive right in.
Let's
So
go.
today's topic is on mothering yourself. Hello, dear friends. Thank you for joining us. Tell us hi. We're gonna talk about this huge concept of mothering yourself, right? Eli taught us. Okay, so Eli talked about the concept of fathering yourself last week. Well, not fathering yourself, just like being masculine and fathering. And we're gonna hit like kind of the opposite of that in our like translation of it, what we learned on it. And I've dived into this topic the past few months, and then more deeply the past few weeks because Gemma gave me the opportunity to come and talk on this call with you guys. Um, but we're gonna dive right in. So nobody talks about how being in your 20s is basically just updating your personality every 6 months and hoping it's the final version. Pause. Here's the good news. You actually get to choose who that version becomes. Today we have Evelina and myself, Kailinn. We will be sharing about what we've learned and how we have been affected in the past and what we're doing currently and how we see it'll affect the future we are building through mothering. Today we're talking about mothering. One, not just becoming a mother one day, but learning how to mother yourself first. Now the question is, what is mothering? Mothering is protection. Mothering is guidance. It is constructive criticism with warmth. It's calling forth a higher standard and purpose. Mothering is warmth in structure, like with structure, building it around um, the criticism you give others. Mothering is about truth with love. And we're going to look at this through three lenses: the past, what shaped me, the present, What am I allowing now? In the future, what am I creating? The first point we have today is how people treat you. Mothering starts with the standards you uphold for yourself. Now, how would we identify that? Ask yourself, the way people treat me, the way my partner treats me, would I allow this behavior for my daughters and my sons to be treated like that? It's a great lens to look through to see each situation and see what you're tolerating that's not good or what is good. The past, which is our first lens. What did you grow up seeing a model as normal love? Was criticism normal? Was control normal? Was emotional or physical distance normal? What love languages were normal around you? Often we don't choose what's healthy. We choose what feels familiar, what we grew up with. Now, let's hear it. What do you say? What lens do you see it through?
So when we're looking through lenses, oftentimes we don't see the reality, we see our conditioning, the way that maybe we were brought up, the situations and circumstances that we've been around. And if we believe like the lies of I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, you will unconsciously tolerate treatment that confirms that belief.
Mhm.
When you operate from that belief, I'm not good enough, you unconsciously accept treatment that reflects that belief. It's not that you attract bad people, it's that you tolerate behavior that matches how you see yourself. Remember, your tongue is a double-edged sword. What you speak can either build you or bind you. If you constantly say things like, I'm so dead, I'm so stupid, I can't do this, you're rehearsing an identity and your nervous system begins to believe it.
Yeah.
Words are not harmless. They're instructions to your cells and they form your mind. Language reinforces identity. If you keep declaring limitations, you live inside it. When you are operating in a healed frequency, you will set the tone. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. And when you are at a state of being a thermometer, you walk into a room and you're just gauging the energy and the frequency of everyone else around you, rather than when you become a thermostat, you are able to set the culture, you're able to set the energy and the atmosphere that you desire, that you want to cultivate within your ecosystem, within your lifestyle. And so you're able to walk into any room and just begin to cultivate something that is aligned with the standard that you pulled within your own life.
And that 100% affects the people around you. Yeah. Even like a small comment when you're aware of the situation. If the whole room is down and like Evelina's energy, she brings it up like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun. I agree that it's gonna be fun. She said it like vocally, and now that's the present. And that's what the future is gonna be. So the present of this first topic is gonna be right now. Are you justifying behavior that hurts you? Do you say, well, they don't mean it. Well, that's just how they are, or I'm too sensitive, right? Are you the problem? Or is other people's actions, are you putting their words to their actions as well? Do we take people's actions as strongly as their words? Awareness is the first act of self-mothering. Here's a lens to look through. Your suffering is not caused by them, it's caused by the meaning you attach to yourself. When you remove the belief that you deserve less, your standards rise naturally. So the idea is that you don't deserve less, you deserve more. Now, the future concept. The relationships you tolerate today become the blueprint of your family's future. If you don't interrupt patterns now, you will recreate them later. That's why, what is that? Where you take on like spirits from your past family members is the idea?
The generational
curse. Yeah, generational curses. Same thing here. Mothering yourself means choosing environments in which your future children can thrive in, as well as building a legacy through that. Our second point will be criticism versus crucial conversations. I love this one. Do the people around you criticize you more than they speak kindness? Do you justify constant criticism? There's a difference between destructive criticism and crucial feedback that helps someone grow. A lens of what that might look like in the past is, were you raised in a home where appreciation was rare, but correction was constant? If love felt conditional, You may now confuse criticism with care. That's really sad. Perspective. Here's another one. We become addicted to the familiar emotional patterns, even painful ones, because they reinforce our identity.
Um, and so there's something that I like to do when addressing criticism, and everything that Ken and I are sharing, it is a reflection more so on self, and it will naturally begin to project into your life, and those around you. And so something that's called, well, it's called the, oh my goodness, compliment sandwich. And so one, you say something you genuinely appreciate about the person. Two, you bring up that concern clearly. And three, you're uplifting their potential. And so I'll give an example. For example, Kailinn's boyfriend was over and she was being quite unkind to him. So I noted that and pulled her aside. I said, I love how you two are comfortable with each other and love each other deeply, but you stepped out of line and were disrespectful to him and to yourself. So as a friend, I'd like to call you higher. You are powerful, feminine, and strong. And that kind of energy honors the man you're with. If you want to be treated like a queen, speak to him like he's a king. And
that's a compliment sandwich that gives someone constructive criticism in a kind way. Because we can essentially, she could have just given me that criticism, right? But that little buffer room gave me the heart and the want, because she cares for me as a friend, to improve and to not want to do that again, because I do desire that myself, right? But I have to break old patterns of me just being harsh with, say, my boyfriend, and not repeat that. So having the people around you that call you to the higher standard is so important. It's so important. Like, you can do it all yourself, right? But you need people around you who see the red flag that's not pointing at you. People around you, she's seeing this side, so be this side, the full red flag.
yeah.
That's
And
like
it's
mothering each other too. And I think that is such a gentle, beautiful way for women to involve themselves and call each other higher as we're each cultivating the mothering culture in ourselves. And men can do the same. This is about tapping into your feminine. Can you lovingly address the beauty in another person that you see and they are turning a blind eye to in themselves? Like a mother raises a child up when they're walking, right? She doesn't say, oh, you tripped, you should stay down. You know, you shouldn't try that again. A mother raises them up and guides them lovingly, tending to their wounds, tending to their scars, but encouraging them to keep going. And we can do that gently with each other. And I love how that example is so perfect in mothering each other as feminine connected beings. And this is men and women. We can be connected in this way.
Right.
yeah, and also like in this situation where I see Kailinn for who she actually is in her original design and the beauty that she cultivates within her life. And I'm just calling that forth in a moment where she wasn't bringing that to the table. And if someone only criticizes and never uplifts, that is not growth. That is control. Come into the conversation with forgiveness already in your heart toward them and toward the situation. Sit with it first, regulate yourself, and reflect. That way you're not entering the confrontation aggressively or fiery. When you lead with calm clarity instead of emotion, you create space for the other person to feel safe, and safety is what allows growth to happen.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think that's so important. Giving people that room to grow that's literally the biggest difference with, like, the way I think, a lot of adults I grew up around was just like give criticism like that. But like, the kid doesn't even want to change. I don't even want to change them as an adult. Like, I don't even respect the way they do that. But like, we look up to adults as like how we're supposed to talk and all, but they don't even have it figured out because they haven't taken the time, like everybody on this call is now, to, okay, let's figure out what can we do different to not repeat those habits, you know? So now, how this applies to your future. The way you communicate now determines the emotional culture of your future home. Do you want your home to be built on fear or encouragement? Mothering energy speaks truth, but it never humiliates. A compliment sandwich is not necessarily a skill for adults, but imagine your children carrying that into their daily lives. in their schools, in their environments. They're the ones setting the example. We've talked about how constant criticism can slowly erode someone's confidence, but there is a healthy way to bring correction because mothering energy doesn't avoid truth, it delivers safety. Okay, now our third point. It's going to be boundaries. What are they? You must identify where you have allowed criticism, micromanaging, control, emotional overstep. Mothering yourself begins with awareness, like what we just talked about. This is less about looking at everyone else and more looking within and cultivating it over your entire life. So yeah, she can point out in me that I did something wrong, but at the end of the day, she realized she was able to like already have that figured out herself and then be at a higher frequency to then call that out in me. So it does start with yourself at the end of the day. Now, how it comes up in the past of boundaries. You may have been taught that setting boundaries is rude. Maybe you were rewarded for being like an easygoing person or a punching bag, essentially, or having a thick skin, right? But maybe love meant self-sacrifice or thinking that you had to die to yourself more. So you're stopping what you desire more for someone else to live on. Your friends and their dreams have to be done together and uplifting each other. Your other friend's dream doesn't have to die for yours to rise up. So in your relationships with your moms and your siblings, this is really important. Here's a perspective. If your identity is, I must keep the peace to be loved, you will abandon yourself to avoid rejection. That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. I must keep the peace to feel loved. And there's some personalities out there who do that more because of just their personality types, but everybody has a part of that. You need to just like leave it alone so the person keep loving you instead of calling them higher. Here's how we see it in the present. A boundary is not controlling someone else. A boundary is telling someone that you will do and stick to it. It requires nothing from the other person. Let me share an example. We often ask someone something like this. This is a request. Please stop yelling. A boundary is, if yelling continues, I will leave the conversation. When someone crosses it, you act calmly and consistently. No drama, no threats, no negotiation, just self-respect. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. So stick to your word. How we see this in the future. Every boundary you set now strengthens your nervous system for future leadership in relationships, in work, and in family. Your future children will not learn boundaries from what you say. They will learn boundaries from what you tolerate and the example that you set, like with your partner. Our fourth point is energy. Do you want to take over for a second?
Sure. Energy, gossip, complaining, and emotional stagnation. Healthy energy protects growth. Gossip and chronic complaining, you know what it does? It drains it. How we see it in the past was negatively normalized in our homes, bonding built around talking about others, gossiping, demeaning sarcasm, types of sarcasm, types of gossip versus real conversations. And the ones that we can look at through the ego bonds through shared judgment, growth bonds through shared vision.
Here's an example. Dude, Evelina, isn't that girl so fat?
I was literally thinking the same thing.
That judgment just bonded us, okay? Now, that's just how it happens in real life. We gossiped over someone, we judged someone, and that became reality. And that's just people bond like that all the time. But you have to set a standard of what you're gonna tolerate. It's easy to fall into that, you guys, it really is. But now, how do we deal with the energy in the present? This is the standard I set for myself. How do I not overdrive the line of gossip? If you need a vent, give it yourself a time period of venting. You have 5 minutes, 10 if it's something super complex, right? You speak it out, you feel it, because you need to experience these things. You need to let out whatever you're irritated about, whatever situation, whatever drama you're going through, let it out. Then ask, what is the solution? If you're not moving towards clarity and action, this is no longer processing Okay, it's complaining. You're just letting out junk. Complaining keeps you powerless. Solutions move you forward. God has designed our brains to work for us, not control us. Yeah, so we can either govern our thoughts, or they can govern us. What's that one scripture verse? You will have to renew your mind. You have to keep telling yourself that you're gonna pick control over your own thoughts versus letting your thoughts control you. And you have to renew your mind every single day to break the pattern that you may have set, say, of gossip. Now, how will this impact us in the future? Your energy attracts your environment. If you build a habit of solution-focused conversations now, your future circle will reflect growth, not drama. Mothering energy protects the emotional climate. Now, 5th point.
Forgiveness is not a weakness. It is clearing your internal space so you can set boundaries without rage. So in our past, who hurt you? What are you still holding? Unforgiveness keeps you tied to old versions of yourself. Holding resentment is like replaying the past to justify your identity. When you release the story, you release the suffering. Forgiveness allows you to say, I release the pain, but I keep the lesson. You can forgive someone and still change your access to them. That is maturity. And for myself, it's often much easier to forgive everyone else around me. But if I did something that overstepped my own boundaries, or just overstepping my own boundaries, it is hard for me to forgive myself. Where sometimes, in my case, it's harder for me to forgive myself than to forgive those around me. And so it's displaying that internally and reflecting on it for yourself. And it affects your future. So if you don't forgive, your future decisions will come from wounds. If you do forgive, your future decisions will come from clarity. Forgiveness creates emotional spaciousness, and spacious people build peaceful homes.
Good. Closing reflection. Okay. So mothering is not about controlling others. It's about protecting your mind, honoring your own boundaries, choosing your energy, and that's a daily choice. Communicating with courage and releasing what keeps you small. Your past shapes you. Your present brings you to awareness. Your future, it builds what you refuse to tolerate today. Mothering yourself is less about the projection that you uphold about others, about other people's lives, and addressing your internal expression. And it shows through self-forgiveness and then projects into your ecosystem. The most powerful question you can ask as 20-year-olds is, if I were responsible for raising myself into a woman or a man I want to become, what would I allow? And what would I no longer accept? That's mothering. I want to encourage you guys to start now, because that's what matters. There's never too late.
Yeah, so you're able to address what is happening. So that way you're able to project that healthy energy to those around you so that they can begin to operate at that same frequency and energy.
Yeah. You should read off here. We have a few things, a few points from this book. What's it called?
So I have a book called Switch on the Brain. Dr. Kailinn Leaf, she's a neurologist, and just like we were talking about the power of words in Proverbs 23:7, it says, as he thinks in his heart, so is he. So the power of not just our thoughts and the way they govern us will govern who we become. And so if we're able to, like Kailinn said, take our thoughts captive and renew our minds, we are able to then operate in wholeness.
And what did he say about every single thought matters? You can't afford not controlling every single one of your thoughts, because every thought's gonna lead somewhere. Thoughts leads into actions, actions lead into your entire life. That's what you're gonna live with for the rest of your life. So it starts with your thoughts.
I lost notes.
it here?
No.
Hmm. True. I'm
So
gonna go through
beautiful, girls.
yeah,
That
I'm
was
gonna go through
really so good.
I'm gonna read the main points. So the first one was how people treat you. And then the second one is criticism versus crucial conversations. Which one do you allow? Which one do you do back? And then the third one, we have our boundaries. What are they actually? We talked about what they actually are and how do you uphold them. And then fourth is energy, gossip, complaining, and emotional stagnation. Yeah, fifth point was forgiveness and emotional freedom. And that's just kind of like a summary of how, just like I encourage you guys to like go to each of these points. And I don't have any of these. I literally don't have any of these down. This is just, it's a working effort of what do you want to keep chasing and going for. And I just found that these points really just nail down exactly what kind of scopes over my brain.
You know what I would definitely say is that you girls are really good examples of everything you guys listed off. And after you guys are done, I want everybody to ruminate on this question of the points listed. I know Gio just joined, but maybe he'll get the gist of it by the time we're finished answering. Who is a person or people who you look up to that have these traits that were spoken of today? And just like acknowledge, appreciate, and be grateful for them. But also, it helps us recognize who in our lives we can reach towards to harvest more of this energy. Because if someone is giving this with their characteristics, they are giving from an overflow. They are not giving from a deeply wounded state, because you cannot give from a wounded state. If you are experiencing these characteristics healthily expressed in your life from someone else, that means they're in a state of wholeness and overflow. Be around them. And so I wonder if when we go around and answer this question after the girls are finished, we can start to piece together our inner council.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a little bit from this book, Switch on the Brain. So, through our thoughts, we can be our own brain surgeons. As we make choices that change the circuits in our brains, we are designed to be our own brain surgery. We are designed to do our own brain surgery. There is scientific proof of how important our choices are. They bring life or death, blessing or cursing, and they reach beyond us to influence the next generation. This is because choices become signals that change our brain and body. So these changes are not dictated by our genes. Our thinking and subsequent choices become the signal switches for our genes. What's incredible is that genes are dormant until switched on by a signal. They have potential, but they have to be activated to release that potential. So,
Beautiful.
the power of our mind and the thoughts.
I really like everything that I've heard in that book and that I've read in that book. There was a section I opened yesterday about it's like a 21-day reset, but really you need 90 days, 60 to 90 days. It talks about how you can begin to replace those negative thought patterns and beliefs with new thoughts as you write them out and you restructure them. That book is incredible. Definitely vouching for it. But it takes not 21 days. It's going to take more like 60 to 90 days to create a totally new network in your brain. And it shows a graph of exactly what that brain network looks like from the 7-day point to the 14-day point to the 21-day point to the 90-day point. Like your network in your brain is getting stronger. It's like building a city, but you are building that city on a framework of thinking patterns. And if that framework of thinking patterns is destructive, think about it. Your literal highways and freeways all have potholes in them. They all have broken down cars on the side of the road. But if that belief system is positive, it is a beautifully working network system with no breaks or fractures.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys have shared with us today, in congruency with what Eli shared with us last week, there are some real building blocks of healing that can happen for the masculine and the feminine within ourselves.
I so agree.
I would love to hear from you girls and then on to everyone else because I just picked you two for the people that I admire that express these attributes. If you guys could share and then we can skip to each other person that's on this call.
Which part? What was the question?
What are, of the attributes that you listed, like good energy, speaking positively, controlling your thoughts, criticism, constructive conversations over criticism, critical conversations, those kinds of practices and characteristics, who in your life is like that? And just say their names and what you observe of them.
Hmm.
These mothering traits.
I mean, I'll go.
Yeah, go for it.
Definitely Gemma. Gemma, I think, carries both the masculine and feminine very well in the way that it's displayed in her day-to-day life and the way that she deals with conflict resolution and the way that she is able to, even for me, call me out, but also still encourage and see who I am and who I'm called to step into. And so definitely Gemma. I'd also say my friends Deborah and Micaiah also embody these things very well, especially when it comes to the power of the mind and not tolerating. They're just very optimistic, very positive women who embody that femininity.
That's really
Beautiful
cool.
names.
I think I could think of like my mom as like one of the best examples of that. I've seen her grow so much from being from a wounded state to she's flowing and she's learned so much. Like in the past 2 years, I've seen her embody a lot of these, like the best she can. And obviously we all have a lot to grow in still, but I think because I've seen her change so much, she's definitely able to embody all of these, and she's really good at setting very healthy boundaries to her family and her friends around her of when she identifies patterns that she doesn't align with, or like where she felt used or she felt like there wasn't contribution in her friends, where she was able to call it out and she drew the boundary, and she's literally able to remove herself, because that's what you can do. You can't tell someone how to change. You can't tell them that, hey, this is my boundary, you need to do something different. No, you're asking them for something. That's not something you can control. It's for someone to change. You can only control your own actions. So yeah, definitely my mom.
Wow.
That's super good. Yeah, great word, by the way, ladies. That was great. Very insightful.
Thank you.
That book, I haven't read it yet, Switch on the Brain. I'm going to at some point. Has everyone read it on this call, pretty much?
I haven't even finished it. Yeah.
But you read it, right, Gemma?
I've started picking through it with Evelina while she's been here.
Oh, nice.
And
Yeah, I've heard really good things. I've heard other people talk about it too. Anywho, but yeah, really insightful. I'm glad y'all shared. I don't have like a specific, I'll share. It has to be a woman, right? We're talking about
it doesn't
nurture.
have to be. No.
I say just feminine energy, like that. I guess not even, yeah, just feminine, that feminine size of understanding, and then developing the emotional boundary or the emotional hurdle you're going over. And then
I would say it's people who are aware, who are nurturing and kind in their corrective nature, but they are corrective and they stand with healthy boundaries for themselves. I think the girl said something about mothering yourself or mothering nature is about correcting kindly or setting standards of behavior kindly.
yeah,
Gently and lovingly.
Yeah. No, that's good.
But
Yeah, there's a lot of I think I have a lot of really good role models I'm fortunate to have in my life, just family and then family friends. But I think a trait that's carried out is the nurturing trait, right? And I think that's something that's like super unique about the feminine and the mothering is the ability to nurture, because that's the true design. That's a huge portion of the feminine. That's something that that is a gift from the Lord. And it contrasts so well with the masculine. And I think what I've seen from women that I look up to is that trait seems to be carried out um, through all of them. And it's just like this like mothering, nurturing, caring, loving, kind of like warmth. It's something that men can't. I don't think they're not I don't think they're incapable or incapable. I think that it's just made more. It's made for the feminine, for the woman to have that like warmth when you're in her presence. You can feel like a warmth, a radiance, like a beam of light, and it's like nurturing and caring. And I think that's a trait that I really admire about the feminine. And I think that even that nurturing trait alone um, has boundaries. Like just with that trait alone, like it carries boundaries because um, that's kind of just um, a part of that trait. That's kind of like it embodies the whole thing. Um, so anywho, I don't really have a specific person, but I've seen this, and I think it's really special because um, women have certain traits that men don't carry naturally, and men have traits that women don't carry, and it's for the right reason. We're designed by our creator um, for that very reason. And so um, yeah, it's cool to see it though, because everything you're saying is really insightful, everything you all said. And so um, the nurturer though, that's a quality that I've seen in a lot of women that I'm like, wow, that's really special.
Yeah. I think it takes another level of just patience from women, but I do think we kind of have a natural way to like just embody that a little easier, but it's still hard to like. I'm just thinking like with kids, like you have to have the moment of you realize something is wrong, they're not doing something right. You're already pissed at them, right? You need to like you need to forgive yourself for being so bad. You need to forgive them and then learn to give them that constructive criticism of like, honey, I think you're doing this great. You hate your brother though. That's not okay. Don't do that again. And then be like, I believe that hold your hands to yourself, you know, in the moments where it's really irritating. And I do think that men can embody that as well. Like it does still take the same amount of patience from men and women to do that. I think women are put in those environments where they have to figure that out a lot sooner. Because I guess a lot of women have children.
Right, but even the mother trait herself, that is a nurturing role. Like the man doesn't embody that naturally like the woman does.
Mhm.
Like she is the mother, right? The actual mothering that is nurturing in itself, in its name, that is embodying nurturing. But I agree. I think men can operate in it as well, but I think women, I mean, it's no doubt, it's completely evident if you just look around at women who are operating out of their true feminine. I mean, it's like radiant, it's like glowing, and that's how God designed us,
Yeah.
to carry the feminine for women and then the masculine for men.
I think there is a lot of responsibility to be taken for men and for women. Like what Eli was speaking of last week, fathering yourself. I know that there are traits within me that I need to pick up with discipline and stability and consistency and father myself in a way that my father may not have shown up adequately for me. And
Yeah.
I carry wounds of masculinity, even though I'm a feminine woman, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm responsible for that, not the men in my in my life, and vice
Yeah,
versa. Say for Michael, or not even Michael or Eli or Gio, there may be wounds of the feminine, of the nurturing nature that you are carrying inside of you. It is not the responsibility of another woman to come nurture that to health in you. That's your responsibility. And this is the beauty of ownership in correcting this balance within ourselves, is that we're responsible for the strength of masculine and feminine, because
Yeah.
the woundedness of one and the other is going to attract more of the same in our lives.
Exactly. I
And
think that's what they call like mommy issues or daddy issues. It's
Yeah.
just like it's like the little little box you can put it in to not address it.
And we
It's
will, and that's why they say you're going to attract the same partner until, or the same friendships. I've seen this in women around me who have, say, daddy issues. Until I have resolved these things in myself and recognized and become aware, I continued for years to attract women who were deeply wounded in the masculine. And they actually had to pick up not the mothering torch, but the fathering torch. And they weren't lacking of a man in their lives. They were lacking of the masculine in themselves. So yes, the feminine is inherently going to be nurturing, but I think we as individuals need to be nurturing and consistent and disciplined, fathering and mothering in ourselves before we begin to flow out of our true archetypal nature. Once my cup is full, I will naturally flow feminine.
Yeah.
You know, but my cup needs to be full with masculine and feminine completely.
And Gemma, we were conversating earlier this week about the yin and yang.
Yeah.
And the balance it takes. Yeah, the feminine and masculine.
Yeah.
I'm curious what Ellie and Gio have to say.
Yes.
Just about to ask a question, about what you were talking about, Gemma. So, for you, you said you have like masculine wounds that you had to go and heal within yourself, and then like a guy would have a feminine wound that he has to go and like kind of mend within himself before he can whatever. How, like, maybe it was gone over realize like Zoom recording, but like how does that look practically for me to like mend a masculine wound, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, great example. My boyfriend and I are navigating this like constantly. We're asking each other these questions. And just in the past few days, we've definitely had things come up. For myself, I want the men in my life to stand up for me and defend me and protect me. You know, I want the knight in shining armor. And I want that to be my dad, first and foremost. And I think every girl wants that in a way. But what if we don't have that? And we can't point fingers and say it's my dad's fault. He was blah, 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 right? That goes back to the thing that Kailinn was talking about. You have 10 minutes to gripe about it. But if you don't come up with a solution, you're just complaining. You know, if we don't come up with clarity and solution, we are complaining. So how can I be the knight in shining armor for myself? It's kind of like what the girls talked about, creating boundaries. Hey, if I continue to hear yelling, I'm going to walk out of this conversation. It's a very feminine way of creating a boundary. But like my boyfriend Eli was talking about last week, he creates a regular practice of working on his own on a physical project, like building something out of wood. So he's creating, it's a very masculine thing to do, to create something in the physical world. Whereas a woman will be nurturing, you know, affectionate, emotionally create space, provide food for nourishment. The masculine will create things like a house, you know, or a couch. He's building things. For myself, I love building things as well. And I think that is an element of like, I can begin to believe in myself because I can create, I can put into this physical world something that I have an idea. I can go mix together a cream or an essential oil complex. I can go create a dress. I can design a dress and sew it. I can fix a chair if I need to. You know, all these, Evelina and I are fixing my coffee machine right now, and we're figuring out all the elements to do so. We need a scale. We need to fix the pressure gauge. Like, figuring things out is raising in myself the ability and confidence of I have my own back. But it's not to the point of I don't need men. That's not what I'm talking about. It's self-confidence. And I think that has a lot to do with raising your own self-esteem. And it doesn't have to be the same thing. Like for me, it's sewing and like little knick-knack things wherever. If I need to hang up a picture, I know how to measure, find the stud, put in the nail, things like that. Like I want to do it to the best of my ability. That's something I would love for guys to do, but I also trust that I can do it myself. And then when a guy does come around, when the men in my life do come around, like my boyfriend expresses to me, if there's something that you want done, please tell me so that I can be the masculine for you, so that I can be that structure for you. And I'm like, okay, hands off. I'm happy to. But I now know that I'm capable of it, you know? Um, and that is a very small example, but there's so many other ways, and I would love to actually talk about the ways in which you feel like those areas fall short. There's so many practical ways to do that for yourself, though.
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have
Okay.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna answer the question that you guys are all answering.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Before, I just wanted to say, that whole thing you guys are talking about boundaries, that really opened my eyes, because I think I had a lot of questions to what boundaries really looked like, and I'm not gonna kind of say exactly the way you said it. I don't remember the words you used, but it was like boundaries are like a declaration of what you're planning to do, and
Yeah.
I never saw boundaries like that before, so that's pretty cool. But the person I think embodies like a perfect ideal mother would be somebody I consider a mentor. We only met a couple times where she really like spoken to me personally, but her name is Leanna Ray. She goes to an old church I went to, and I've never met anybody who like nurtures, corrects, protects, brings warmth, all in like perfect love. So she's somebody I definitely look up to, and keep in my subconscious as like a standard of how to act. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna text her all this after this call is done.
That's so cute. I love that. A really good book for you is a book called Boundaries. And it talks about every area of life for yourself in creating discipline and self-respect and self-esteem. But then it goes through relationships, family, finances, friendships. Like it goes through every category of life where boundaries are necessary. It does back it up in multiple areas with scripture, which I love, but it is extremely practical. So it's not like all this spiritual world airy fairy, it's not esoteric. It's just the real, like, it gives you real life examples of why do you have a misbehaved child? Because you, as a parent, have allowed a lot of things to run wild. You don't have a misbehaved child, you have misbehaved parents, and it really does a good job of taking things to the source.
Do you remember who it's by?
I'm going to take a picture of it. My boyfriend and I are reading it together right now. I'm going to take a picture of it and send it to the chat. Gio, do you have a person who you look up to in that way?
Yes. So there's this lady who serves at the church that I work at, and her name's Miss Mona, or her name's Mona, but we call her Miss Mona. But she is like a very bold lady. If she thinks something that's on her mind, she's going to tell you. And it's really funny sometimes because she'll just say things and you're like, oh, you really said that. But she serves in our kindergarten and first grade area. And this weekend specifically, she had, served her regular service, and there was a kiddo who just wasn't really having the best time. And, in my mind, because Miss Mona is very blunt, um, I'm like, oh gosh, like hopefully like she's not blunt and it like it hurts the kid's feelings. Obviously, I know that wouldn't like be her intention, but I think, sometimes she comes off that way. But specifically this weekend, there was a kiddo who was having a tough time, and she was so nurturing. And he was like frustrated and mad and angry and just not having a good morning. And she had given him her jacket so he could like be warm. And she like, left from her stand and got down like, on her knees, and was just like talking to him and like caring for him. And it was like, how was your morning? And it was just like really cool because someone who I think, is very, a bold woman, um, very blunt, she can also be very nurturing. And it started to make me think as you guys were discussing, but she can, say stuff how it is, but also her husband is very like introverted and super quiet. And I'm like, how does that work? Like, what is that dynamic? Because like, I just feel like she'll probably call the shots jokingly. But I think for her, and her, she still submits to her husband, which is just, I don't know, just very, it's very interesting for me because I'm like, you're very bold and he's very quiet. How does that like dynamic work? But anyways, all that to say, like she just, especially this weekend, she kind of modeled just the nurturing side of her, and yeah, she's bold and blunt, but also she cares so tenderly, and it's like so sweet to see. Um, so yeah, I feel like she has a good balance of like, you know, you know, being confident in her feminine and masculine, but then also, um, being able to, what is it, be nurturing when she needs to be. So
Lean
yeah.
into that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she can. That's really cool. She
Okay.
knows when to go harsh and then when to, lean in to be really gentle with someone.
Low key, I aspire to be like that. That sounds like a really cool lady. Yeah. I think there's definitely characteristics that can be extreme, but when a woman knows that her man is in her corner and he has her back, she gets to be the full expression of a woman that she wants to be, you know? And a real, true, powerful man doesn't need to say a lot to exercise his power and his authority, you know?
So he
And I
can.
will say it's so interesting to see that because in the home that I grew up in, um, it was very like female led,
Mhm.
and I grew up always, hearing like, the phrases like I don't need no man, or or like I can do it on my own, or just all of these, toxic phrases. Um, but to, meet the Lord, and also, be involved in a church, like I think um I'm able to see the opposite side of that, of where women aren't doing everything,
Mhm.
and they're not playing the role of the masculine and the feminine. They're submitting to their husbands, which the Lord has called them to do. And I'll say it's very interesting to see because, you know, oh, because I just didn't grow up seeing that. And it's so cool to see how um, the masculine and the feminine, they work together, which is super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's by design. That's intentional. I think women are very capable of doing it all, but I think the compliment and the joy that we can give men is to invite them into the process. Because in this modern day, we do live in a very wounded world, and that does require a woman a lot of the times to do 50% of the man's work. Um, Many homes around us are not led by the man because the man, first and foremost, is not the 100% provider. So it will naturally cause the woman to do 50% of the man's job. And I think because that's still a cycle that's happening in our world, the book Entering Her Vortex speaks very clearly on this. It's the shortest read of your life. Yeah, the girls have it. Very powerful. It's so straight up about the masculine and feminine roles and how when you are participating or you have a household that you were raised in that participated in the wounded cycle, it doesn't just end in that household. It continues to you. And until you address that woundedness, it will continue to repeat. But that repetition is part of the design as well. Like we get to call this out in others, but we also get to call the healing and the wholeness out in ourselves and in others. And when you have the people around you who are calling out the wholeness, it changes the whole game. You get to be nourished by someone else's overflow of balance. And I think that's beautiful, like you're experiencing in your church and your community right now, Gio. And it's a perfect incubator for wholeness to be absorbed into you. So I'm really happy for you. Thank you guys, everybody, for joining this beautiful Mothering Yourself call. I have a dinner to get to with my boyfriend and his mother. So it'll be very interesting and enjoyable and
That
fun.
goes well.
Wow, great topic, ladies.
Yeah.
Learned a
Oh,
lot.
dishes. Let's go.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to learn to mother myself. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Could you guys post the notes you were maybe reading in the chat?
For sure. Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
We're
Thank
gonna do an exclusive drop.
Yeah. Thank you, girls. We're gonna have to.
10 p.m. EST.
Yeah. Standard. We'll fix all the spelling mistakes first.
Gonna have to have you guys on again. You guys were a powerful duo.
Yeah, we had fun. Yeah, it was
Appreciate
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Good to see everyone.
Thanks,
Happy
guys.
Monday.
Yeah,
Enjoy your
Bless y'all. Thank you. Great
Bye-bye.
topic.